黎巴嫩前总理哈桑迪亚卜接受高端访谈独家专访，他崇尚中国文化，赞赏中国人民。
Very kind people, very helpful people, and very understanding people.
他说：“世界需要读懂中国，与中国搭建起沟通桥梁。”
Because China has so much to offer, as it has offered the Chinese people. It has so much to offer the world as a whole.
面对变乱交织的世界，他高度评价中国所发挥的作用。
With today's transformation of the world to a multipolar world, China is a major player.
专访黎巴嫩前总理哈桑迪亚卜，敬请收看。
关注国际焦点，洞察世界风云。大家好，欢迎来到本期的高端访谈，我是邹韵。今天我们要对话的嘉宾是黎巴嫩前总理哈桑迪亚卜。中国和黎巴嫩同为历史悠久的文明古国，迪亚卜从中国传统文化当中获取了怎样的灵感？如何透过纷繁复杂的国际舆论场读懂中国？曾经致力于国内改革的他，如何看待中国式现代化？而在地区冲突频发的当下，他对于未来的和平与发展又有怎样的期待呢？今天我们一起在对话中寻找答案。
Professor Diab, thank you for joining us on Leaders Talk. This time you are in Guangzhou for Understanding China conference. And in the congratulatory letters sent by President Xi to the forum, he emphasizes that to understand China, one needs to understand China's efforts to further deepen reform comprehensively to advance Chinese modernization. So can you share with us, what is your take on the significance of President Xi's words, and how do you perceive China's path towards modernization?
First, I'd like to thank CCTV, and I'd like to thank you for inviting me to the program, and thank the viewers. Yes, I was at the conference at the UCC when the congratulatory letter of President Xi was read, and it was very impressive, very specifically also at the level that you mentioned, modernization and affirmation of reforms, as I quote, not only to address the aspirations of 1.4 billion people in China, but also to extend an arm to a more peaceful world at the global level. And I find this extremely heartening and impressive because China has so much to offer, as it has offered the Chinese people. It has so much to offer the world as a whole. There's no doubt the advancement of China at so many levels, not just at the economic level, at the scientific level, at the higher education level, which is a major interest of mine, truly at all levels, has been nothing less than remarkable. And China today is not just an economic power, but a global power that is respected everywhere you go.
You've also said that this conference, the UCC, helps you to gain a better understanding about China. So can you share with us a bit about some of your major takeaways at the conference?
Well, the conference, at least the session where I gave a keynote speech, had in its title, Beautiful China and Healthy China. I would add a third line, Kind China. Because the kindness of the Chinese people has been nothing less than outstanding from not just this visit, but also a previous visit that I had to China a few years ago.
Right.
Very kind people, very helpful people, and very understanding people, which is very heartening to me. Obviously, we feel the same in Lebanon because over my career, in different roles, tried to build bridges with China on different levels. As a Minister of Education and Higher Education, as Vice President of one of the best universities in the MENA region, the American University of Beirut, and as Prime Minister.
Well, just now you emphasized the importance of opening up to different cultures. So how do you think gaining a deeper and more comprehensive understanding of China helps foreign friends like you to enhance this mutual understanding? cultural exchanges between different countries and civilizations?
Well, as I repeatedly say, I think when China opens up to other countries, it's not just at the trade and economic level like some people perceive, but it's also at the cultural level, at the levels which allow people to communicate and understand each other more. I definitely gain more, as I understand more about the Chinese culture, gain more and more in each visit I come to China. It's just a pleasure to be here in China and meet different people from different cities and different areas. You feel the compassion and the hunger for opening up to other cultures and other areas in the world.
邀请世界观察今天的中国，凝聚智慧，思考世界的未来。2024年12月2日至4日，读懂中国国际会议在广州举行。会议期间，包括黎巴嫩前总理哈桑迪亚卜在内的600多位中外嘉宾齐聚一堂，围绕将改革进行到底、中国式现代化与世界发展新机遇这一主题开展对话交流，碰撞思想火花，凝聚合作共识。
We're here talking about how it matters about understanding China, comprehensive, balanced, and fair understanding of China. Why do you think it is important to have such an understanding, or to understand China is important?
Well, it's important to understand China because China is opening up to the world. So understanding China is essential in this case to discover the way that the Chinese think, live, operate, work, and excel, and so on. So the more understanding of people from outside China have about China, the more we will support China in pushing for this proximity and for this inclusion. I find the implied note of President Xi in terms of inclusivity very, very remarkable. I very much support that, and I think it's very wise, to do that, because it's of benefit to China to be present everywhere, and it's of benefit of the world to be close to China.
But maybe you have also noticed that in recent years, misunderstanding, doubts, and even criticism have emerged regarding the peaceful rise and global influence of China. What do you think is key in bridging the gap between different perspectives on China?
Well, there's a saying that in Arabic that people throw stones at the fruitful tree, at the tree that bears fruits. So when you're on your path to leadership and success, I'm talking about the global level, you will find challenges with respect to. I don't think this will stop China from advancing even further in the world. Voices of don't want this to happen, I don't think will affect the path of China's success, more advanced success in the future. Well, I think they have to interact with the Chinese, and they have to understand the Chinese, and they have to accept that China is already a global power at different levels. With today's transformation of the world to a multipolar world, China is a major player, and might as well accept that and understand that. As I said before, building bridges with China.
Speaking of Chinese culture, I noticed that you have said you found a Chinese ancient proverb very inspiring, and this proverb goes, if your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. How does this ancient Chinese philosophy resonate with your vision for education and for long-term planning?
I have great respect for the Chinese culture. It's a culture that is thousands and thousands of years old, more than 5,000. Lebanese culture is also about 3,000 or more years old with the Phoenicians. I think at the core of a lot of the advancement technological advancement is higher education. If you look at a lot of the countries that have changed status from third world countries to great economic powers, you will notice that the first thing they did was to revamp their education and higher education systems, create research centers, find niches in the technological area where they can excel, and join the economic powers of the world. And China obviously did that at multiple levels if you compare it with a few decades ago. So higher education is my passion, and my dream would be to build a lot of bridges between some of the top universities. This opens up a lot of channels to also excel at the cultural level, where people can understand more each other and build on the cultures of both sides, both countries that are interacting.
You've been working with some of the top universities here in China. What is your impression of the higher education here in China? What do you think are some of its biggest competitive advantages?
Well, there's no doubt that many universities in China are among the top in the world in different specializations. I personally had the opportunity to visit, I think it was called Foreign Languages University in Dalian, where in my capacity as vice president of the American University of Beirut, that was in charge of the consulting arm of the university, I signed for the first time an agreement with Foreign Languages University. You'd be amazed that the area of cooperation is in Arabic language. And at that university, they have a school of Arabic language. And the people that I met speak Arabic language just as good as me, if not even better. In fact, I met at the Understanding China conference 2 graduates from that university speaking to me in Arabic.
That's really impressive and interesting. This is your second time to come to China. The first time was in Dalian, pushing for the cooperative agreement between 2 universities. So among those years, what part of the country, the development and also the progress made by the country impressed you the most during your trip this time?
Everything was impressive to me. I've already met with some of the top companies in the area of renewable energy, construction, and they really are the state of the art across the globe in some of the things that they offer in terms of power generation using renewable energy. I have other visits today to AI technology companies as well. Truly everything I saw is impressive, but the most impressive, I think, are the people, the kindness of the people. You just feel that you are part of an extended family.
黎巴嫩位于亚洲西南部地中海东岸，东部和北部毗邻叙利亚，南边和巴勒斯坦、以色列接壤，西濒地中海，自古以来就是东西方文化的交汇点。在被殖民时期，地处战略要地的黎巴嫩曾历经磨难，如今它依然面临着多方面的挑战。2024年9月，以色列对黎巴嫩真主党发动寻呼机袭击，之后扩大为空中和地面打击，并打死真主党领导人纳斯鲁拉。2个多月后，双方达成停火协议，但冲突带来的影响却远未结束。根据世界银行3月7日发布的《黎巴嫩快速损失和需求评估2025年报告》，此轮黎以冲突对黎巴嫩造成的经济损失为140亿美元，重建和恢复的费用需求预计为110亿美元。
Well, Professor Diab, let's go back to the situation in your home country, Lebanon. Since the deadly cross-border fighting between Israel and Lebanon erupted and over 1 million were forced to flee homes. So can you share with us a bit about your first-hand experiences during the escalation of violence, and how has the conflict affected the people in the country?
Absolutely. The conditions in Lebanon has been very, very tough. And of course, I stayed in Beirut during that time. And the southern part of Beirut, Dahi, was almost completely destroyed, as you saw from the pictures. And for the first time, the center of Beirut was hit multiple times. From my understanding, 99.9% of the victims are simply citizens, children, women, old people, normal people, you know, that have nothing to do with the conflict. So this is why I said, I think after almost 8 decades of conflict, a solution has to be found for the Middle East, the Palestinian issue.
Is there someone you know, your friend or your extended family or anyone that you believe their life has been severely affected by this conflict?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Many friends that I have, you know, in different sectors have either been affected, homes destroyed, injured, some actually killed, you know, in this conflict. So it touches every Lebanese home, I think, this unprecedented war.
So, Professor Diab, what do you consider as the fundamental elements to decide whether this ceasefire agreement will hold or not?
Well, I've always been optimistic in my life, but previous, you know, cycles of violence and ceasefires and wars, we may, you know, face another round of, I hope not, but I don't feel that Lebanon is being fairly treated in the sense that this conflict has deeply affected Lebanon, and that international players should put an end to this once and for all.
What do you believe is key in putting an end to this conflict?
Well, I believe the core of the conflict is the fact that we have people, the Palestinians, that have suffered for almost 8 decades and that are probably, you know, the only people in the world today that are under siege, being attacked, being killed. I don't see any other solution other than giving them their own state with the 1967 borders, with east of Jerusalem as their capital, which was what was presented in the Arab Summit 22 years ago in 2002. And the 22 Arab countries were ready to sign a peace treaty, you know, based on that condition that the Palestinians will have their own state, their own dignity, their own homeland, and this has not happened since.
What kind of efforts do you hope to see from the international community in order to help alleviate the situation in those conflicted areas and also maybe finally achieving long-lasting peace in the Middle East?
Well, it's about global balance of power. So China being a major player at the global level can contribute towards a peace resolution, and they have done that before. But everybody needs an end to this conflict. And the only way to end this conflict is to create a Palestinian state for Palestinians.
The two-state solution.
Two-state solution. I think it's only fair to have Palestinians have their own state and determine their own future without dictation by anybody.
China actually has been playing an active role. For instance, China has provided emergency humanitarian medical supplies to Lebanon, has been making lots of efforts in pushing for the peace process in the Middle East. So how would you assess the role of China in creating or in pushing for the peace and security in the region?
China has always been a friend to Lebanon and a friend to the Middle East. There are Lebanese-Chinese ties from a long time ago at the trade level and so on. And yes, China is playing a proactive role even at the political level. China, as a fair player, would, in my mind, be conducive to reaching the political solution and the two-state solution that everybody talks about.
Well, given that the world is now faced with many pressing issues and profound challenges, how do you understand the global significance of the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative proposed by Chinese President Xi?
I think it's commendable, especially that what China is seeking is an inclusive, peaceful world that has a place for everybody. We're not talking about just the big countries, but even the small ones. This gives a sense of relaxation on the level of countries such as Lebanon, that China can be part of pushing for this peaceful world where everybody has a chance to be proactive and play a positive role.
哈桑·迪亚卜1959年出生于黎巴嫩首都贝鲁特，曾在贝鲁特美国大学任电气工程学教授。2011年至2014年期间，他担任黎巴嫩教育和高教部长。2019年12月，迪亚卜被任命为黎巴嫩总理。2020年8月，贝鲁特港口发生爆炸，迪亚卜政府集体辞职。此后，他担任看守政府总理至2021年9月。
But from professor to prime minister, what back then were the biggest challenge to you? What kept you awake at night?
I think the persistence of politics that is pushing Lebanon further and further to the abyss in terms of the state in Lebanon at the levels, at the financial level, at the economic level, at the political level. And as a Lebanese, this affects me. I mean, the only reason I eventually accepted to be Prime Minister was the fact that, of course, I love my country and I want to play a proactive role in addressing these issues. Being independent and being a technocrat meant that I didn't care about politics game. I only cared about revitalizing Lebanon and putting Lebanon back on track at the economic and the financial.
Well, Professor Diab, if you don't mind, we want to talk a little bit about the devastating explosion happened at the Beirut port 4 years ago, which was the largest non-nuclear explosion in the recent history. So reflecting on your tenure as the Prime Minister, what do you believe are some of the lessons drawn from this incident about maybe crisis management, about the governance of the country?
It is true that one of the biggest explosions, and it devastated Beirut at the different levels. And I truly hope that the truth comes out regarding this. But there are many questions that have to be answered. Economics, the red light pertaining to the economic situation was on since years before I took over. There's a lot of mismanagement that took place during those decades. And regarding the port of Beirut, this is probably part of the mismanagement. It's extremely unfortunate that this happened, and like the family of the martyrs, I want this to be resolved, but I want the truth to be out, not for it to be politicized. Well, it's obvious, it's mentioned all over the media, it was politicized. You know, it was being used by different political parties for their own political agenda. And this sort of, created a division in the country.
You've been a very strong advocate for reforming the education system of Lebanon and promoting entrepreneurship, and you believe these are the most important thing for a better economic life of your country. Why do you believe these factors are fundamental?
They are fundamental because, again, if you look at most countries that have moved forward as an economic power, revamped their higher education system. When your higher education system starts graduating entrepreneurs and innovators and You create research centers in the country, and you create startups to allow innovators to implement their ideas. Obviously, at some point, the country will realize different niches for different industries that they can capitalize on to improve on their economic. So Lebanon traditionally has been, the main income was from the banking sector, which has now collapsed, from the tourism sector, a bit from the agricultural sector, a bit from the industrial sector. So with the advent of knowledge economy and with the high level of universities, that some of the universities that we have in Lebanon, a lot of the graduates are truly outstanding entrepreneurs and innovators. Unfortunately, they go to the States, they do their PhDs in the top universities in Europe and the States, and they never come back. So Lebanon has to create this environment for these graduates, and they will stay in Lebanon.
If you could name one thing that you're most proud that you have done as the then Prime Minister of Lebanon, just one thing, what would it be?
Stood by the side of the Lebanese. The decisions that I made were to the benefit of the Lebanese. I named an example, which is the cessation of payments for the Eurobonds, because that would have led to a disaster. I mean, today we have $9 billion in the reserves in the central bank because of my decision. Otherwise, it would have reached zero back in 2022. And the bad situation that we're facing now would have been 10-fold worse than it is now.
Well, Professor Diab, you've been a professor for about a quarter of a century, and as a politician as well. What is your passion truly about?
I believe my passion is to see a unified world, to see a peaceful world, to see a world where our children grow in harmony as global citizens that accept the other in all their perspectives. Nobody on his own is right. Everybody has a piece of the truth. And if you open up to others, to other cultures, to other nationalities, to other countries, to other ethnicities, to other religions, I believe we would live in a much better world. And this is part of the message that President Xi has given in the UCC.
That's right, Professor Diab. It was a great pleasure talking to you, and many thanks for sharing with us your vision, your insightful perspectives. Greatly appreciated.
It's a pleasure to be part of your program. Thank you very much.
在专访当中，迪亚卜表示，中国的发展速度和过去几十年间取得的成就令人深受启发。他认为，开放的中国正在世界舞台上扮演着越来越重要的角色，而事实也已经证明，中国式现代化造福的不只是中国人民，也为世界增添了新的机遇。感谢您收看本期的高端访谈，我是邹韵，我们下期再会。